Good morning, gang. Weather's great, but no winds. So still, if I'm on a boat and there's no winds or no action for me, I'm gonna go in and do some maintenance. So it turns out on Fiverr, the last tech who did it, I could tell it was in a couple of different cases. So I don't know how long the previous owner owned it, but I could tell they were not doing the standard practice of mechanics. So just so you all know, I'm good for life, a mechanic for aviation. And in aviation, there's two different categories, general and commercial. So I got my A&P license for airframe and power plant for the concern of both. And as a career choice, you have to decide. I ended up going to commercial, but the general stuff is very good for those who like to buy their own boat and pilot it for recreation. I decided to go commercial because I'm pretty much a hardcore capitalist. But you never forget this stuff if you want to be a good for life mechanic. So most of the general stuff apply to house maintenance and boat maintenance. So here we are again. It's a rust mark and another rust mark. So I'm not going to take care of this rust mark right now. I just pulled the bolts off. There's 4 you can actually see outside. So I have to do this fast enough before the weather's poor again. So that rust mark I could rub out with sandpaper or goof off is the one, but most likely it's sandpaper because that stain has been there a while. So I bought the boat like this, by the way, and it's easy for me to handle this. You're going to see why when I get up there. Actually, I already rubbed it out. There is a silicone sealant, which is a very poor way to do a boat. The only reason why, I bring up former mechanic, maintenance and mechanic certification and licensing, that sealant that the previous owner used is a non-approved sealant for a boat like this. So the procedure is you're supposed to go back to the manual. And if you don't have the manual, you go to the data plate, and the data plate for a Catalina, if you have a legit Catalina, no fakes out there, right? It's over there, way there. You can see the data plate right there. And then all you have to do is do your research like a real mechanic and then find out the approved sealants for the boat. And that approved sealant today is called the 5200 marine sealant. Okay. The other one, so the most important part about taking care of your boat, the reason why we do this is if you catch a leak, the core of this boat has two layers. Sorry about the camera. 2 layers. The first layer is on the inside of the hull. The second layer, when you get up to the top edge, is on the outside of the hull. And in between, it's stiffened up with plywood. Now, the reason why we go through this whole maintenance procedure here is to protect that plywood from catching water upon cracks. So for crack maintenance, what you do, it is a fiberglass boat. And again, this is an approved chemical treatment for a boat that you pay a whole lot of money for. So in the business of mechanics, you have to catch certifications in order to service the boat. Now, what happened with this boat is it was a non-approved mechanic trying to service the boat. And what do you have now? You eventually have an owner wanting to sell off the boat because he's not going to pay all that extra money. The worst case scenario, if you don't use this stuff, the plywood between the 2 layers gets rotten with salt water, or even clean water if you're really bad. Clean water is easy. The dry rot doesn't happen very quickly. You might petrify the dry rot. And next thing you know is you have a stiffer boat. But that's not going to be the case because we know as mechanics, it'll tear down if water protrudes. So fiberglass here, look at this. I want to get into, it's going to be a 6-minute video. So fiberglass protection really is epoxy, which is the heaviest form of plastic repair you can do. It's a great thing. This is a 2-part epoxy, and injector. It makes it great to keep on the boat. And then what you do is you mix it together and it matches the boat color. That is for when you see a crack, any sign of a crack, you need to track that thing. If that crack keeps going, it could get so bad you step on that crack and all of a sudden your foot goes through the hull. That's not a good thing. And then you don't let it go, and all of a sudden you get wet and the crack seeps down into the plywood. Next thing you know, you have to go cut down on that plywood and replace the plywood. You never want to do that. All you have to do is do these little maintenance things, okay? So after, to clear up the rust, now I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna take this adhesive 52 and at the end of the day, put the bolts back on with the 52 and you will have zero leak for a long, long time. All right, gang? Way to go, mechanics. Be good.